Hey, folks, welcome to the Generational Gap. I am Robert, your resident Gen Xer, and right over there is John, our resident millennial. John, how are you doing this evening?
Pretty freaking all right, actually.
That's a lot.
Not too great, not too bad, just perfect.
You think I should get rid of all the Christmas stuff? Is it time?
Probably.
I mean, you're supposed to be
I
okay
mean,
to
we have
leave
to
your
wait until
decorations up till the first of the year.
right. So I mean, we're good till Friday. I think this is a good. I think we're still in the clear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all almost over, isn't it? The holiday season, the vim and the vigor, the fun and excitement.
Yeah,
You got any big plans for New Year's?
yeah. I'm actually going to my girlfriend's dad's house in St. Pete
Oh,
for
oh yeah.
New Year's.
So that's
Yeah, so
uh,
that'll be fun.
so that's tomorrow, right? You're going over there tomorrow for tomorrow night.
Yep,
Nice,
yep. Going there
nice.
tomorrow.
You gonna do the show Friday from there?
Yep.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna be
Gonna bring
doing it.
my.
We'll have a show on New Year's Day. How exciting is
That's
that?
right. On National Hangover Day. That's what it's called.
Nice. I see Wyatt in the chat right over there, and Sergeant
So,
Peterson has shown up. Hello. I curtsy. He
Sergeant
says, "Sup,
Peterson.
ladies." He'll get my curtsy. There you go. Uh,
How do you do, sir?
yeah, polite society and all that.
Right.
Polite society. But anyway, wow, I'm kind of out of it. It's your fault, John. I have to blame you for this.
My fault. Okay, I'm interested.
Because I had
Sell it to me.
myself, I
How is
was
it my
getting, I
fault?
was getting myself all in this frame of mind, for the show. Because what I wanted to do, it's a new year, so maybe throw some predictions. See if you
Hmm.
have, I
We
was
can
going to
do
throw,
that
I was
too.
going to throw some people at you and some situations, and
Okay.
have you make predictions on what's going to happen in the coming year, and let us
That does
see
sound fun.
see if you can tap into your funny bone and come up with some interesting predictions. We'll see what we can what we come up with. But yeah, then I see Brown Boy Dante in the house. Yo to you
Says
as well, sir.
yo. What
Brown
up,
Boy
bruh?
Brown Boy Dante. Every time I see that, I have to say, every time I see it, I'm like, hmm.
I can
I just,
confirm because I know him personally that he is brown, so he is not lying at all. And he is I don't know about boy, but he's definitely male, and his name is Dante. So he has not lied once in that entire 3 words. That's
I don't,
right,
I don't,
generational gap, not just for white people.
I don't know what it is. It's not a bad thing. It's just, it always, maybe it's the alliteration that go
I know
Brown
you're
Boy
not a
Dante.
big fan of the
No, no, no.
Browns. I understand you're
It's
not a
the,
big fan of the
it's,
Browns. I
it's
know
the, it's, it,
they're a shitty football team. I know.
you know what it is? It's the tongue feel of the word, saying it. It's what it is. It's the mouth feel. Some things that you say, like some people's names or whatever, they put it together. It's got like his has got a little alliteration in it. So when I say it, Brown Boy
Yeah.
Dante, it's like it kind of rolls out there. Your mouth wants to say it, and you want to say it over and over again, right? Brown Boy Dante, Brown
Right.
Boy Dante, Brown Boy Dante. It just lends itself to things. So that's what happens whenever I see that.
Yeah.
And so thank you for bringing that little bright spot to my thought process. But anyway, back to off mic, and so I'm all gearing up for the show, and then you're like, "Oh, did you see this?" And I'm like, "What now? What did?" So apparently, we've got a breaking situation in Georgia as the voting is going on, the election's going on there. And for we'll just I'll play the announcement. Let me get myself set up with John, because I don't want John to be left out. Because if John's left out, he'll cry. And I don't know if you
It's
guys have
true.
seen
I
John
will.
cry before.
Why do you guys think I wear sunglasses on the show?
It's
It's not because I
not
look cool,
pretty.
all right? It's to hide the tears that are in my eyes every episode when he doesn't let me in on things.
Typically tears of shame. Also,
Yeah,
that's
typically.
see if I can't get this video. I wasn't prepared for video. I didn't know we were going to be doing this till the last minute because John likes to, do this stuff. It's
Well, to be fair, I found out last minute too, so it's not like I had time either.
John, your excuses are just that. They're
Or
excuses.
innumerable, I know.
But I'll share this with you as well, John, so that you can be a part of it. Okay, so apparently here's the announcement that's going on. Apparently there's been a hack that has gone on with some of the voting machines in Georgia. I'll let you hear it, and then we'll discuss a little bit and see
Also,
what else we have.
also note the tag underneath it: U.S. elections. The Electoral College has confirmed Joe Biden as president-elect. On top of this video, that has evidence at least of some corruption. Let me be Susan friendly and say that this shows some evidence of possible some corruption, maybe perhaps.
All right, Sydney pal, shut the fuck up for a minute. Let's just hear what the man says. Okay, calm the fuck down.
Uh-huh.
Members, I respectfully request that you afford just a couple minutes to Javon Pulitzer. He's just informed me of some very serious new evidence that he's just obtained from a Fulton County voting polling place within the last hour, and I think this committee needs to hear this.
Okay, can you do it just a couple of minutes, 2 minutes?
So as we all know, there's multiple teams working on this, and our technology team's into it. And as was broke early in the week and last week about connected devices, at this very moment at a polling location in the county, not only do we now have access through the devices to the poll pad, the system, but we are in. And it's not supposed to have Wi-Fi, and that's not supposed to be able to happen. So we've documented now. It's communicating two ways in real time, meaning it's receiving data and sending data. Should never happen, shouldn't be Wi-Fi. We've now documented it in real time so we can shut down the data. But that's going on right there where everybody's voting. And I just wanted to get it into the record.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Jones?
One of those, is it a mobile precinct or is it a?
No, it's a standing building.
Okay.
That this should not happen. And shouldn't happen in any way, but this is another one in real time. Won't disclose the location because every location is being checked, but we've now confirmed it 100%.
Right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Senator Beach, did you? And now come to Sil Beach and Tillery. Did you have a question? Okay, well, Senator Tillery.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. We've heard that there's 3 different types of machines: a scanner, a ballot marking device, and a polling pad.
Right.
Do you know which one it is communicating, or can you tell that? Or
Right now, what you heard in the past was coming through the thermostat and stuff. This is now a more direct access way, and so this is coming through the polling pad device where they're checking everything. But now, it only takes one device where you daisy chain them together and do it. The most important thing is that shouldn't be two-waying and even shouldn't be accessible or on, and it's there. Were there any other questions?
Could I ask him one question? What effect could somebody with dishonest purposes, what could that person do given this access that's going on right now in Fulton County?
Statistically, what can be going on when you have an operation like this is as that data is being exchanged and somebody's in it, can actually siphon off that data, modify the data, and feed it right back into the system, or kind of do a pump and dump in real time, right? It's kind of like at home when we all used to have a dial-up and you're connected to the internet and doing what you're doing, and then all your kids get on and the bandwidth goes down and everybody clogs. It creates that kind of atmosphere where not only are you in the system, but then once you get into the machine, you can do stuff in real time, changing its intent. That's what it opens up.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so now, John, they hacked into the system. They did this, right? Just to, so what they wanted to do, so I'm assuming what they're trying to do is establish that these systems can be accessed. Therefore,
Not only
it's a
that, but
legitimate
it's
reason
not
to seize the machines from the election and determine if those machines were accessed during the election.
right. It's right, exactly. It's certainly an open door to investigation. At the very least, like the most general, the most charitable interpretation
Now,
is
does that now? I guess the some of the questions that come up for me are um, you
well,
know
also real quick. Ed's blog Twitter over on D Live gave us a diamond. So yeah, thank
a
you,
nice
bruh.
diamond,
We
nice.
appreciate it. And also, he's trying to troll us again with the stream going down and whatnot, or the video being gone. He's trying
Maybe
to troll us
he may
over
have
there.
internet issues. Gosh, give the guy a break. I see
Nah,
Nephilim
he likes to.
Ninjas in the house. Nephilim, good to see you this evening. Good to have a ninja on board. Um,
Yeah,
so
everyone could
lots
use a
of
ninja.
the yellow tie.
As we learned, but hang on, Nephilim Ninja's here though. As we learned on Monday, though, I don't want to pass this along to Nephilim Ninja. Don't go ninjin people who don't need ninjin.
Right.
All right, just make sure you don't.
Don't go ninjin people that don't need ninjin.
That's right.
And if you
That was
need
probably my
to,
favorite.
if you need to,
Oh, which by the way,
include a Judy
fucking
chop.
vindication. By the way, vindication. I was right. That song that played, that I was like, oh, we probably shouldn't play that because we're gonna get copyright struck. We didn't get copyright strike, but the video was blocked worldwide because of that song, and I had to trim it out myself before the video was allowed to go back up. That 19 seconds of song.
Really? Good God.
Yep.
Wow.
The one video that you contributed to took us down.
It actually. Wow.
Yeah. So it's back up now, though. Monday's episode is back up, but I
That's
did trim that
weird.
19 seconds out. Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So
I should have muted
fuck
the
you,
sound.
Robert.
I'll mute the sound next
Yeah,
time.
probably. Fair enough. Well, it's a learning process.
No, no. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just going too
It
far.
is silly. It's absolutely silly.
19
Especially since
seconds
we're
of
not
what,
making money off it. We're not
3 minutes,
monetized.
right? A 3 minute
Right, and
song,
we're not
probably.
monetized, so it's not like we're trying to make money off of it. We're not even monetized on YouTube. So like I don't know what the deal is, but they're very strict about it.
Yeah. So, but ultimately, I'm still, I'm taken away from this that, okay, now I don't, I don't know. I guess I'm just wondering if they're going to use this move to delegitimize. They apparently somebody is right. Who somebody's already said that they're gonna contest the thing.
Yeah, I forget who it was. I watched 5 minutes of a Tim Pool video earlier today, so I'm not exactly the most informed person on this, but
Well, yeah,
yeah, apparently.
I've been trying to pull up stuff that's talking about it. To see, but seeing it because it's got to hit the media pretty quickly, right? And they're starting to
Well,
be
it takes some time to come up with the right spin before they can release it, right? I mean, you got to have a group of people come together and be like, all right, here's the story we're going with. Everyone go with this story. So
hmm
it could take a little while before quote unquote real journalists
right,
get a hold of it.
right. So this guy is this guy his he's a tech expert, avid inventor, and patent holder, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer of the Gold Institute of International Strategy.
Ooh, that sounds important.
That
By the way,
sounds
guys, Slain Irish whiskey, excellent sipping whiskey. Not sponsored, but enthusiast. It is delicious.
Okay, so now here's the thing. He In an exclusive interview on Economic War Room with Kevin Freeman, Pulitzer further alleged his ability to digitally examine millions of ballots to scientifically prove if ballots are authentic or fake. He said at the time in mid-December that his technology and approach have nothing to do with accessing the actual Dominion or their vendor machines. He explained that kinetics is the study of physics that when two forces or two metamaterials come together and bend and apply to each other, it leaves a trail. So printing's on top very, very fast to dry immediately, and it's on a piece of paper. What's paper? Paper is wood. Everything there's printing on that page. This effect creates this so-called kinematic artifact. How can it be a mail-in ballot if it has no signs of ever being mailed? Okay, since every mail ballot is folded and then blown into envelopes, this ends up creating kinematic folds or crease marks on the ballot. These marks can be detected using specialized machines, he urged, since fake ballots that were fed into counting machines are likely to have been pristine and never folded. So he has come up with a way to tell if a ballot is fake by if it's ever been folded, like if it's actually a mail-in ballot or not, based off
And the thing is, he's an award-winning inventor. He has no reason to put his reputation on the line.
No, he's an avid
And put
inventor.
himself out there.
He's an avid inventor.
He's an award-winning inventor as well.
Tech expert, avid inventor, and patent holder. Just because his last name is Pulitzer doesn't mean he got an award.
No, I understand he doesn't have a Pulitzer necessarily. It's a coincidence. No relation, I understand. To what, John Pulitzer, I think is the guy's name?
Jovan.
No, the original, the Pulitzer Prize. I think his name is John Pulitzer. Let's see. I know as award-winning inventor, author, investor, is a highly active technology startup founder whose companies have included seed investments rounds.
Where are you reading that?
jhuttonpulitzer.com.
Oh, his website.
His own website.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, again, does he have a reason to lie?
Nobody. I bet he has a reason to sell himself.
I mean, of course, but can he say that he's award-winning without listing those awards?
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess you could.
Right? You could, yeah. I'm an award-winning inventor. Prove me wrong. It's not on him to, he doesn't.
No, it is.
Until you ask him for proof. Well, what award have you won? When you ask that question, then the burden of proof comes to him, right? But
right.
I mean maybe he has. Maybe he was awarded a patent. Just FYI, think about the wording of things and what people will say. No, I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to defame the guy. I'm not saying that. No, I'm just checking out the stuff, trying to find out information on this guy, and why he was doing this. Under whose guise he's doing this. Like, so somebody has to have given him the okay to do that, because otherwise you just hacked into a voting system, pal, and that sounds illegal to me. Right?
Well, yeah, but that's the point, right? Is to prove it. And obviously he's not the one who did it personally.
Well,
right?
it's he said he made it sound like it was his team, his people.
Said, his team maybe, but is he the one who actually did it?
But
right? That's the difference.
I'm not worried about if he's the boss, if he's the one that's orchestrating, if he's running the show, yeah.
Dude, he's got all kinds of awards. Holy shit.
But when
he's got all kinds of.
But
awards.
Ultimately, my question is who
was rich already? He has no reason to put his reputation on the line for this. No reason whatsoever. I'm looking at all the shit that he's done. He has no reason whatsoever to like put his reputation on the line and lie about this.
Nobody said. Okay, well, nobody's saying
No,
he's
no, I'm
lying.
just saying, like
I'm just
it's.
saying. I'm just saying. I want. My question is under whose behest was he doing this?
I don't know, maybe himself.
See, that's what it comes down to,
Sergeant Peterson.
right?
Sergeant Peterson said he won a blue ribbon at the high school science fair. That's an award. Yeah, well, he had a lot more. I actually just closed the window, but yeah, he has. Yeah, he's well. Go look him up. He has awards out his fucking wazoo. All right.
Well, that's great. Again, I just want to
Yeah,
know who told him to hack in, because if you didn't, somebody didn't tell
I
you to
don't
hack in
know.
and you hacked in,
I don't know. He might be a Trump guy. I don't know
right? And
who.
ultimately, that's
Yeah, he might be a Trump
that's why
guy.
I
He
was
might
trying to. I
be,
was
but
kind of looking to see if anything connected him to, say, Sidney Powell or Rudy Giuliani, if he'd had any goings on with them, if he's working
I
for any
didn't
of
see
those.
anything like that though. I didn't see anything like that. I
Yeah,
saw
so
no like
I can't
Trump
find.
loving Jovan Pulitzer says I never saw anything like that. So I don't
Well,
know.
I just no, I'm just looking to see if he has association with any of those law teams that are out there fighting for Trump
Right.
in regard to the election, see if that's what he's
Yeah.
associated with,
I
or
personally didn't see
if maybe
anything,
the
but
Georgia Senate, because that's who he was talking to, was the Georgia Senate. It's possible
yeah.
they put him to the task.
Yeah, it's possible. Oh God, these earbuds, man.
Now,
I hate them.
so do you? We, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that based off just my understanding of machines, right? These machines need to be able to communicate within to each other within the facility they're at, and then somehow that information has to be transmitted outside of that building to a central location that manages the count, like we see in the general election. How else do you get all these numbers, so quickly and instantly as it's going on, right? So I've not been of a mind that voting systems can't be hacked. I mean, hell, they've been talking about voting systems being hacked multiple elections back. They talked about it in 2016. Trump,
2016 was the
Trump,
one where they
Trump,
really talked about it.
Trump talked about them being hacked in
Uh huh.
2016, and he won the election, right? He was calling
Yeah,
fraud, but
I
again,
know.
he's
Yeah,
setting the stage. Also,
he wasn't
again,
wrong either.
well,
No,
that,
listen.
but that's not the first
I
time.
like the Trump 4D chess, but come on.
But even going
Yeah, I
this,
understand though. I understand.
2016 isn't the first time that talk of machines being hacked. As long as machines have been computerized, there's going to be attempts made to hack those systems.
Right. So
And
why are we using them for an election? But that's even outside the point, right?
I
The
guess
fact is they
because of the
are.
archaic nature of trying to do it as a write-in ballot every damn time. The sheer number of peoples doesn't facilitate it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do it that way. Uh, Nephilim says the machine is missing the only important part, the public trust. Um, but unless we were to go back to physical pencil and paper ballots, you will not be. I don't see how this is, you know, so far fetched to imagine that someone could hack into that. I mean, he
Right.
made reference to the thermostat, and I know that I have a very strong feeling he was talking about their initial tap into the place was to find an access point, and that was the thermostat, because Wi-Fi thermostats these days are on the internal network, but if it's speaking Wi-Fi, and it's one thing you're not going to think about when you're trying to shut down, keep a system closed from the outside world. You're not going to think about the Wi-Fi on the goddamn thermostat. But you've got
Right.
to have a network set up for those computers to talk to each other, and well, guess what?
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
and
that's the
that's an
thing
open
is,
door.
and like I told you off, off mic, and during that video, what he told you is initially that was how they got in, but
Right.
then they got in through the polling
Sure.
pads afterwards.
Sure.
So like
And
separately from the thermostat. So it wasn't like they went from thermostat to polling pad to
well, no.
machine. They went from
Well,
to the
no.
polling pad to the machine.
No. But once you open the gate and get the information, you can start walking up to any door in the house on the house that you want. Right. You can start walking up and trying to open the door. It's just that something had to be a gateway
Well,
point
I
for them,
think
and
he's
and
talking
there
about from earlier this month. I think he's talking about from earlier this
that's
month
possible.
because there were articles going back to December 9th about them
Sure.
getting into the thermostat and stuff,
Sure. And
from there to the machines.
if I were gonna
But that's
hack,
from the December 9th. I'm talking about now. Today was when he
right,
came in and
right,
said, no, 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 we didn't do the thermostat. We
right,
did
right.
just straight to the pad
Guess
from
right,
there to the machine,
right.
which is much more accessible to a hacker.
Sure. You know what that's called? Case in the joint. So you go in. If I'm a
Yeah.
hacker, I'm going to go in prior and I'm going to find any access
Well,
point I can to that system so that when the system goes
okay.
online, I can actually hack in to the system when it's being
Okay, so
used.
imagine that that's your job, though,
Yeah.
right? That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're going to do, right? So if he can make someone, if he can hire someone to do that, what makes you think the DNC can't hire someone to do that?
Because
Do
my
you
bet,
think that just because they're hired by the DNC, they're not going to find the thermostat and then find the machine, or find the polling
sure,
pad and then not find the machine? Of
sure.
course they are. The hackers are going to be as good as any other hacker for the
Sure,
most part. Some are going to be better,
any
but
side could
yeah,
it could have hacked it, apparently.
right.
So anybody could have hacked it.
Right, anyone can.
Right,
Any hacker worth their
right,
salt would have been able to get in there. Yeah,
right. And
right.
that's and
But we see which side it went to, is what I'm saying. Yeah,
all I'm saying is I don't see the possibility of preventing that from happening in the future, going
probably
forward,
not.
without
Right,
retreating back
but that's the
to
point
an
of it.
archaic method of voting.
Right, and that's the point of it, though. The point is that our elections are not secure, regardless of who won. The point is that the elections are not secure.
Right. And then ultimately, if we were to go back to the old standard, guess what? That's not going to be seen as secure either, because that's why another reason why we've gone to a more digital approach to voting is to offset the insecurity of the written ballot and the hand counting of the
Right.
ballots and
But do you
you know
remember what
the
our friend? Do you remember what our friend Short Fat Otaku said when we had him on the show? I say our friend as if we know him that well, but
right.
we've had him on the show once. But yeah, anytime the new technology comes out, they're always going to be a step behind on defending from exploitation. He didn't say it in those words, but basically, whenever you make something, someone's going to exploit it,
Mhm.
and you're always going to be playing catch up on trying to stop that from happening.
Right.
So, I mean, if you think the IT guys who work for the government don't know that, I mean, that's ridiculous. Of
But
course they
see,
know that.
well,
They're going to be playing catch up forever. Every
sure.
time if they shut this part off, someone's going to find another way. The elections are not going to be secure as long as we're using digital,
But the
means.
but
And I'm not
they're
saying they're
never
going to
going to
be
be
100%
secure.
secure. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
When you have the
When
human
you have the
factor
human
involved,
element,
you're
yeah,
fucked. That's
right. But
corruption
we have
at the
no
source.
choice, right? But I think it affects a lot less when we're not using digital means of doing so. Because otherwise, you have to have more people involved. The more people that are involved in a conspiracy, the less likely it is going to happen, because the less likely you can keep it a
Sure,
secret.
sure.
Computers don't tell you anything unless you make them, and
Right,
that's much more difficult to
right.
do, whereas a human can't help but talk.
Yeah, to a certain extent. I mean,
I mean, come on. I mean, people talk. This is I've said this for the last few years.
well,
When it comes to conspiracy, the first thing you look for is how many people would need to be
sure,
involved.
sure. And but
And the higher that number is, the less likely it is to be real, because someone would have talked, regardless of what
right.
NDAs they signed, regardless of the threats to their lives. Somebody would have
Sure.
talked.
And guess what? The coordinated effort that is supposed to have gone on in this election fraud is large enough that you have multiple people involved, and there should be plenty of people talking. And because it would have had to have gone on a large scale.
I mean, not really. Depending on how many. I mean, it depends on how many hackers you need.
If any of the
I don't think you
allegations
would
are
need
true,
that many because they only had 6 states that they needed to flip, and it just so happened that those 6 states got flipped.
now
The rest of the states didn't matter.
Dylan
It was
Paz,
those 6 states.
Dylan
Oh,
Pasnak,
go
good to
ahead.
see a new face in
Oh,
the
Dylan.
chat.
No.
Yes,
Yeah, I know who he is.
oh,
What's
gotcha.
up, man? Also, I did see your message above. I appreciate it.
He said there was
Thanks.
no massive voter fraud, no evidence, and cases won't even be heard, including Supreme Court. And this is,
Okay, so that remains to be seen. What I'm saying is, yes, I think that Joe Biden will be president, but what I'm saying is it was done through massive voter fraud. I understand the mainstream media narrative that there was no massive voter fraud, but if you look at how it transitioned from the beginning to now, right? The first thing we heard was it was the most secure election ever. That there was absolutely no voter fraud, and there couldn't have been because it was the most secure election ever. Then it moved to, well, there was no significant voter fraud, right? And then it was, well, there was a bunch of voter fraud, but it wasn't enough to turn the election over. So you see, the narrative keeps evolving
but
there
one,
and there.
well,
So yes, yeah,
one,
and the cases won't be heard, including the Supreme Court. I understand that, and that has to do with the Trump's legal team because they've bungled it every single way, every single time they've gone in. There's so much evidence. It's alarming how much evidence there is. I suggest you look into it. But there's a shitload of it. The thing is, it's extremely hard to prove in court because, uh, first of all, the Trump team bungled their court appearances, like the huge packet of affidavits that they had. They didn't bother to look through and find the troll ones. The ones that were completely off the rails. Um, it just they completely bungled this whole thing, and it's really a shame because there's a ton of it out there. You can find it. All you gotta do is look a little bit, and you'll find it. I promise. But again, I'm not saying that the election is going to be overturned. I don't think it is at this point. It would take an absolute miracle for it to be overturned at this point. I'm just saying that there is a shitload of evidence, and the
I,
fact that the media narrative keeps changing proves that there is something there. The
well,
fact that it went from most secure election ever to not enough fraud, no, massive fraud, but not enough to turn the election over. You know what I'm saying? That's a very suspicious.
one
That's
thing that
it.
I've
I'm not saying it's
consistent,
anything I can prove in court because I can't. No one
the,
can.
and that's just it. The message that I've gotten, that I've pulled from mainstream media in reading different this and different that, is that while yes, saying that it was the most secure election in our history is absolutely wrong. That was just
Right,
a
but that was the initial thing that
right.
came out.
I
It was,
understand,
and everybody and their mothers was saying that.
but the anything fraudulent that has been found has not been on a scale outlandishly outside of anything else that's gone on in previous elections, because there's always voter fraud that goes on
Of
in
course,
elections.
of
and
course.
and they found fraudulent activity on both sides,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
But
Sure.
to say that the voter fraud that has been found is not significant enough that it would flip the election is not is not a bad thing to say if it's true. And I when it comes to the evidence, if it's damning evidence, if the evidence speaks for itself, then a court will look at it. But that's the
Of
thing.
course,
They
they
keep saying
did.
they kept saying
They did look
they
at it
had
though.
hard evidence, hard evidence, but
I
they
know,
never
and I
brought
don't know what
hard
the issue
evidence.
is.
Right. And that's and
Right, because they bungled it. There was always a procedural problem in the court. It was never a lack of evidence issue. It was always a procedural issue in the court, which is unfortunately that is a necessary
well,
product of the
well,
court is you have to follow the proper procedures all the way through in
sure.
order to continue the case, and they didn't do that, which again doesn't make sense for lawyers of their level. Like they're not ambulance chasers, right? These are
Right.
lawyers at the top of their profession
Right.
bungling these things, which is very strange to me.
But and this is one, a lot of, and I'm not saying you, but a lot of people have put a ton of weight into all the affidavits that they got that or said that they had. And
Right.
the thing to remember is I always say you have to remember that there's a difference between evidence and allegation. Just because Joe Blow says
Right.
this happened, that's an
Hmm.
allegation. He says he witnessed it, fine. Then there should be something evidential that you can pull out.
Right.
It then
Well, see, that's the
otherwise it's a
thing,
he
though.
said, she said.
Well, but that's the thing, though, is a sworn affidavit under the penalty of perjury
Sure.
is evidence that you can put
It can be
into the
submitted as
court.
evidence, but that's not
Right.
it's not
Absolutely.
but
It's not
that's
just, yeah, it's
circumstantial
not like,
is what it I think that becomes more circumstantial if there's no
sure.
hard evidence to back it up, because it
Right.
still leaves an open door for dispute. There's no, it's
Yeah.
there's reasonable doubt.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Because people's memories are fallible. Their memories are open
And they could
to
just goddamn be
suggestion,
they could be lying.
and then they could just be
There's a broad
lying.
spectrum of
Right.
shit that they could be saying.
Of course. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
without the
Absolutely.
hardcore physical
Absolutely.
evidence, and if this hack was, legitimately done,
But it seemed like they were only using the sworn affidavits as evidence for the most part, right? There were some videos that
that's
you're
a
like,
big
I
problem,
don't
right?
really know what's going on here, but it looks like this.
Right,
Like that there was a lot of that
right.
for sure, and I think that's what lost them their cases. Yeah.
And and so when, a lot of the evidence that they've brought said they had to bring forward kept being things that were open to question, far
Right.
too open to question.
They couldn't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, which I agree that they couldn't prove it with
I
beyond a reasonable doubt.
what
But
they didn't
but they
even.
were coming to us as though they had that beyond the reasonable doubt evidence, and they just didn't.
And what I think sticks with me more is that the evidence, that they did provide wasn't even strong enough to warrant further investigation. If there was something there that the
See,
court
that's
said,
the thing
okay,
is, I do think that it's worth.
well,
I
but
do think it's worth investigation.
sure, but that
At the
was up to
very
a
least,
judge to
that's what it's worth,
decide,
and
right?
we'll get that. And let me give a prediction since we were talking about doing that earlier. I'll give a prediction for next year. I bet we get those investigations. I bet they uncover a bunch of stuff, and I bet it gets swept under the rug. Those are my predictions for next year when it comes to
Yeah.
this election.
Yeah,
I'll
I
bet you
mean,
that's what happens. If it doesn't happen next year, it's going to happen in the next few years. We're going to learn, oh, wait, this election was actually totally fraudulent. I'll bet you we discover that within the next 5 to 10 years
right. Well,
that this
ultimately,
was completely
ultimately,
fraudulent, and
this,
no one's going to care. Then no one's going to
right,
care.
right.
It's going to be, yeah,
Well, I mean, it's already.
it's a shit show, man.
It hasn't really been talked about much in the last 2 weeks either, has it? Most of the talk's been about budget stimulus, budget stimulus. Notice how the narrative has really
Right.
switched to that. A lot more talk there.
I mean, to
It's
be fair,
funny
there hasn't been much going on with the election
because
until
we're in a
today.
holding pattern till the 6th, right? It's,
Right.
yeah.
Until the 20th, really. But
Well,
the
but the
6th is
6th
the
is when
Senate, the
they
Georgia Senate race.
that no, the 6th is the Senate race. That's what they just hacked into. That's the
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
No, 6 is when they
isn't that when
confirmed
that
the
ends?
Electoral College in
Oh, I thought they
Washington.
did that already. Okay,
No, the
yeah.
Electoral
Okay,
College gave
yeah.
its answer, and now
Right,
Mike Pence has to preside over the committee that says, okay, the Electoral College has spoken. Boom. And
right.
they put their stamp of approval in
Fair enough.
Washington on top
Then
of it.
when is the? I thought that was also when the Senate race was. Is that the same day?
I
I don't
could have
know.
sworn the Senate races were
The Georgia
going
Senate race.
the fourth. What's the
It
fourth?
might be
Fourth
going
is
later.
when,
I might have got those.
yeah.
I might have got those dates mixed up. That's perfectly plausible. I'm horrible with dates.
But I know
I'm like
January
seriously
6th
bad with dates.
because I do remember the when they were talking about Trump met with Republicans in Washington to
Hmm.
talk to them about the upcoming January 6th a confirmation of
Right.
the electoral vote, trying to get them, supposedly trying to get them to sway their opinion on because they can ultimately I think they can overturn it. Like they can do that if they wanted to.
Um, I don't think so. I know. Congress can,
And that's what it
and
is.
that's
It's
what
a
we were talking about
congr
before. Oh,
that's
Senate
the
race is the fifth.
yeah.
It says the Senate race is the fifth.
Pence,
Okay.
yeah, and the congressional confirmation is what it is. Is Pence
Yeah.
oversees that, but
Gotcha.
so that's why it's important it was important, it's supposedly important for Trump to talk to them and see if he could get them to, come up with a way out. You can you make this? Can you change this? Uh, Dylan says, I hear
Oh
that we all have
no.
to keep an open mind and make progress
No.
on election integrity, but it doesn't help that top
Ugh.
politicians are adding fuel to the fire, bringing down our democracy.
What democracy? We do not have a democracy. Oh, that's so annoying. I'm sorry, Dylan. I like you personally, but
Well, I
yeah,
mean, this is, this is,
say that we have a democracy is, and to even say that democracy is a good thing, I just don't. I don't know that we've
well, I
because we
mean,
first of all we don't have a democracy, and secondly, a pure democracy is not a good thing whatsoever. A democracy is a terrible thing.
well,
It is
you can't,
two wolves and
you can't blame generation after generation of people for calling it a democracy whenever they're told this is a democracy. you know, oh, did you freeze up? You froze up. Why? Why would you freeze up? Uh, see, Dylan's also, yeah. Sidney Powell is horrible. Indirect democracy. Yeah, I mean it's no, it's not a true democracy, and it's it was supposed to be a democratic republic, is what it was supposed to be, and I don't know. I think we have to put a whole brand new name to it at this point in time as to what we have, because I'm not sure we can call it anything. He'll be back. I'm assuming he's going to come back. John always comes back because he's that kind of guy. He always likes to show back up. Uh, no, I find solace in the idea that there is no authority above mine because the government is illegitimate. It's only what you get in trouble. It's only what you get in trouble for. And see, that's I mean, you can go that route with authority, but it's not like they're not going to stick their nose in and bring their boot down whenever they need to, just to keep you in line. Ed, since John can't speak, just accept the democracy. You love the democracy. Yeah, that's nice, Ed. I like that. Hold on one second. I think I might be hearing from John. He broke it. He said his internet is gone. Oh, wait, his
there
internet
we
is
go.
back.
Oh
Hey,
my
look,
god!
look, he came
Thank
back,
God.
kids. Um,
Oh my god. So anyway, what I was saying, because I'm sure I got cut off. Um, what I was saying is that one, we do not have a democracy, and two, a democracy is a terrible thing because it is two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner, right? It leads to the tyranny of the majority, which is a terrible thing because what about the other 49%, right? It's not a democracy is not a good thing. No matter how much, everyone wants to tell you it is, it's fucking not.
well,
I mean,
yeah,
if you care
I
at all
get
about
that.
minorities in this country, you do not want a democracy. I
But
mean,
you can't,
they can't protect your rights. A democracy cannot protect your rights.
but you can't, you know how hard that is to sell to generation after generation after
I know
generation
people
of
who
people
don't
that
know
have
what a
grown
fucking
up.
democracy is. I understand.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, they're, that's how it's sold to us. That's how it's shown to us that this, that
I know.
we're a democratic
So
republic, that
it's
we run a
fucking
democracy.
infuriating. It's infuriating.
But
It really is because like they sell it to you like this as though it's some wonderful thing. No, a democracy is a terrible thing.
let me ask you this, John. What is the
Yeah,
other option? How do you appease 100%?
you can't.
Okay, so if you can't appease 100%, then
The best
how do
thing
you
to do.
determine the right course of action for the populace as a whole?
Oh, that's a good question. Thing you do is you let each individual decide for themselves what the best course of action is for themselves. I know it's crazy, right? What a radical notion to say that you can live your life better than anyone else can tell you how. It's
So
crazy.
if that's saying if only 51% of the population think murder is bad, you shouldn't make a law against
No, no, no.
murder.
It's more like if 51% of the population think murder is good, then you, as one of the 49% who think it's bad, have no say, and now it's perfectly okay to murder you regardless of
Okay.
what you believe because the majority says so. It's for the
Uh-huh.
greater good, Robert. The greater good.
Okay. So
That's where the
then
greater good comes from, is from
so
democratic bullshit.
how
Democracy.
do you determine
Ah.
law?
How do you determine law? Well, you don't necessarily do that in that case. Like I
you
said, like no,
got you really got to kind of have laws.
like we've always said, right? The federal government should just be dealing with interstate commerce and foreign affairs. And that is it. That
But
is their
even
entire
on a
purview.
village, in a village of 10 people, you'll still have a 60-40 split on shit.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's you've got to have laws that, and you've got to have rules. You've got to have
Yeah, and you're
whatever.
ready to and you can leave. Or they can say, hey, we don't want you to be here anymore. You need to leave. That's not a law,
Yeah,
right?
and and I'm
Coming
sorry,
to a consensus is not a law.
and that's great, but it doesn't translate to 335 million people,
It
much less
can.
8
It
billion.
can. It can.
It can.
It
It
can.
it can in a perfect world.
I mean, yeah,
It's got.
but it can.
I mean, the perfect world utopia idea of libertarianism is great,
Right. So
but
obviously, I'm making the anarchist argument, obviously, and like I said, like okay, I'll make the point again. I'm an anarchist in the ideal sense, as in like something to work
right.
for, but in a more pragmatic sense, I'm a anarchist, as in I want to take the government's, I want to take away 90% of the government's power, 90% of it, leaving them only with interstate commerce and foreign affairs. The federal government itself should have zero power over your life. However, whatever state you live in, each state still has their governors, each state still has their Supreme Court, every state still has their own Senate. You know, they can make whatever laws they want. If you don't like those, you can leave. And if they try to prevent you from leaving, that is when the federal government can step in and say, no, you can't stop this person from leaving.
But they can
Right?
provide you with 1,000 reasons why there's
I don't give a
more
fuck
need
about
for
their stupid ass reasons. I don't give a fuck about their stupid ass reasons. That's not what we're supposed to
because
be as a country. No.
and and but again, I will always make the argument that that idea is great whenever you're talking about a population that's a thimbleful compared to the 250
Yeah,
plus
I
year
understand
later
the scale.
population.
I understand the scale problem, which is why I'm
The
not an
the
anarchist
only way to
fully.
do it is to disband the country, to stop being America
If
as a
listen,
whole.
if we split up into 5 or 6 different countries, I wouldn't be
No,
mad.
it would have to be. It would. I mean, well, no, you would have to. It would have to be 50 states, 50 individual
I
country
doubt
states.
that would happen.
It
I
would,
doubt that each state would be on their own. I highly doubt
really,
that.
because I can,
I'll bet
you
you,
know, Florida is gonna.
conglomerates would happen.
You're here in Florida. How many Floridians want to be like, oh hell no, I'm not being absorbed into the Bible Belt. Oh hell no.
Some of them would be. It depends on where in Florida you
Shit.
are. Like you can go find some good old boys who would love to be part of the, the
Yeah.
Southeastern Alliance or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Mm,
Like I
yeah.
guarantee it.
There's some fuzzy edges around state lines, maybe, but
I
for the
didn't say
most
it would
part.
be. I didn't say it would be like clean and pretty. I'm just saying
But
that
that's the only.
you
I
would
mean,
find.
honestly, it's really the only way to do it. I mean, we're too big for our britches, from the standpoint of that democratic republic that they longed for once upon a time. It's not, it wasn't scalable. Nothing that we've got is scalable in a sense of, from a sense of liberty. Like if you want to talk about liberty, none of this is scalable. None of it.
Right, I understand.
Right.
Most libertarians understand that. That especially, and we talked about this before on the show. Especially when you're talking about high density populations like cities. You know, the thing is, what happens in New York or what happens in Los Angeles should not have any effect on you or me here in Florida, right? Why should it?
Yeah, well,
Uh,
it's true, but it just gets crazy when you start, zooming the microscope in though, because you bring up New York, and it's funny you say that, and LA is great too. I mean, in New York, you've got five boroughs, and they're like, well, what you're doing over there in Queens shouldn't affect us here in the
Agreed.
Bronx,
I agree.
right? But then it's
Yeah.
like, wait, you're part of the same city,
Yeah. Kind of.
right,
It's New York City, but then you've got the different boroughs. You got Staten
right.
Island, you got
Right. So
Queens, you
then
got the
those get,
Bronx. Yeah.
and then then you get into those communities, and it's even broken down further, because in those
Right.
communities you have like
That's
the
why
Italian district and the Irish district and this, that, and the
the
other, and it's
Italians and the Irish usually mix together, but yeah. And the Puerto Ricans over there as well. They're all mixed
right.
in, which is not a problem. Like whatever. Um, but I mean, do you not think that those boroughs, like Bronx, has different problems maybe than Queens
Sure,
or
but
Staten
but
Island? Like they
within,
all have, and they should be able to
but
make whatever rules they want to a higher extent than they can now,
right. But
legally than they
my
can now.
point
They should be able to, you
my
know.
point is that the divisions keep growing as you go deeper into, into the
Yeah,
smaller
of course.
communities.
Yeah.
Like,
And
I
well,
mean, there's going to
that's
be
why,
contests just
right.
within one of the five boroughs from the different factions there that have different cultural ideas and want to influence what's
And New
going
York, I
on.
think, is a bad example of that because I don't think you're going to
LA's
find
got
that
the
as
same
much.
fucking thing. You got Compton, you've got Linwood, you've got these different places that are like completely different culturally, but they're all part of the greater Los Angeles
Los Angeles
city
area.
area,
Yeah, Los
right?
Angeles is a very sprawling city,
Sure.
whereas New York City is very condensed.
Right.
And so
But the
there's different
same
in that
thing, but
manner.
they're different, but the same, because it's just they have the same setup in that
Right, but
sense.
how
It's
is
just
it
more compact in New York.
right? So how is it working out for them, though?
Well,
I mean, Los Angeles, regardless of having some of the richest people living there, is extremely poor.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I get
It
that.
is
I mean,
like enormously more poor than it is
sure.
rich. Even though
Eh,
there are the richest
Right,
people in the world are living there pretty much, right? A
I'm not
lot of the
arguing.
richest people in
I'm
the
not
world.
arguing that it's great anywhere. It's just more to the point that the contentiousness of, you know, who who makes the rules, basically. When you start, with the amount of people that we have, and the density of population in these large cities, even, you start getting down there, and it's like, you know there's just a lot. It just creates a lot of contention if you get rid of the overarching, you know authority. I guess is the only way to put it, the overarching authority. um you know
Well, what? Okay, so real quick though, because I can go into this deeply. I do want to answer what Dylan says over here, because that is what spawned this conversation. He says, I agree with small government. I disagree on the comments that this is not a democracy. What else would you call it? What would be the alternative? No one dictates our freedom. So, what else would I call it? Well, we are a representative republic, which is very different than a democracy. In that, in a representative republic, we vote for a representative in our area, whatever, like, whether it be a state or a province or whatever. Uh, and then we send them to represent us in the Senate or the House of Representatives, whatever. And then they are supposed to, in theory, represent their state or province or area's interests, and then vote for things based on that. Whereas a democracy says that each person gets a vote and we count each vote, and with that we determine, okay, 50.1% of people wanted this and 49.9% wanted this, so we're going to go with the 51, or 50.10%, who wants this, and fuck everybody else, right? That's the difference. And also with a democracy, you're not talking about the Constitution is irrelevant because we're talking about the will of the people,
Right.
right? And when the will of the people is over 50%, that happens regardless, and that can account to all kinds of atrocities. I mean, go look at ancient Greece. They had direct democracies, and that's what happened to them quite
Okay.
often.
Okay. So I have to. I got to get out of here. Actually, it's about that time to wrap
Okay,
up. I
yeah,
just
yeah,
want to
yeah.
say
You're
this
right.
real. I just wanted to say, one of the things that is a function though that was built into the Constitution. That was built into how we did this with our checks and balances system by needing,
Yeah,
for instance, to ratify the Constitution, a two-thirds vote. To
right.
overturn a veto requires a two-thirds vote.
Which
Things
is
like
way
this,
better than a
where
51%.
right, which
Yeah,
is not relying on just the base majority. It's relying on the larger majority, right?
right.
And that's for anything like the really really major stuff. But it's when it comes down to these elections that we were like, oh, 50-50.
Yeah,
Why does somebody else get, why do 500,000 people get to make the difference in
right.
who our president is going to be? So I
And I
understand that.
would I would need a lot more time
Hmm.
to talk about that than we have
And
tonight.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But we could get into that discussion if you want to. We can do that another time.
yeah. All right.
We'll be doing
So
more of these if you guys know. I
yeah,
don't know if you guys knew. We'll be doing more of these. So,
yeah, because we had a more of a show, but maybe we'll talk some more about this on Friday's show. Start the new year off right with a little chit chat about demo democrastination, democrastination,
democracy,
democracy. That's nice.
democracy.
All
Yeah,
right. But I want to throw a lot of love out to you folks that are there in the
yeah,
chat
yeah.
talking
And
to us,
and
new
also
faces
Dylan,
and
I have
old.
no hurt feelings towards you, man. I just disagree, and I hope to see you back here again, man. I hope you come and hang out with us.
So yeah, definitely look for us on Friday. 2 days from now on the first of the year, and we'll definitely delve into some of this a little bit more. I'm sure we'll have some more ammunition to delve into as this election stuff develops a little bit more.
Yeah,
Real John, can you real quick tell these folks where they can find us whenever we're not on the air?
sure as hell can. Right down below, in our description on YouTube, and I believe D Live as well. We've got a bunch of links that you can follow us at. We've got our Twitter, which is at the Gen Gap P. We've got our Discord server, which is a lot of fun, and also, so you can have good conversation and stuff. But also, we have you'll have notifications for when we're going live. So even if Susan decides not to send out notifications on YouTube, you'll get those notifications on Discord. So make sure you join that. Then we've got our subscribe star. So if you want to support us, you've got a passing affection for us. You can find us there. We got a bunch of perks at a bunch of different tier levels. So you decide which ones you like, and you can give us money accordingly, and you'll receive those perks. And then we've got Freedom Scoop, freedomscoop.com, right here. You can find all of our stuff and also other lesser and unimportant creators like J. Edgar, who's been in the chat. Stephen Ignoramus is over there. The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, Wyatt, he's over there. Already Conservative, and the Freckles and Brit Show is over there as well. So make sure you go check them out. And while you're over there, you can buy awesome merch like our T-shirt, such as the one I'm wearing now, mugs, things like that. And little special hint just for you guys: if you put in the code GinGap at checkout, you get 15% off your purchase. So make sure you do that, but don't tell anyone else. It's just for you guys.
All right, folks, we're going to get the hell out of here. We're going to be coming back again on Friday, January 1st, the first day of the new year, 2021. It promises to be the year after 2020. But we'll be here at 8:30 p.m. on Friday night. We'll also be back again on Monday for another episode of Filling the Gap. They seem to be fun for folks, so we're going to keep trying to fill that gap when we can with a little bit of humor. That's at 9:30 p.m. And then, of course, we'll be back again a week from now for another rousing episode of Shootin the Sh&t, which, of course, starts at 9:30 p.m. All of those times are Eastern time, the one and only true time zone. All the rest are just posers. Never let them tell you anything different. Thanks for all the love tonight.
Liars.
Right. Thanks for showing up tonight and talking to us. And I hope everyone has a wonderful, safe, and happy New Year's coming up tomorrow night. Please be safe out there and get yourself schnockered. You know, what the hell? What else you got going on? All right, we're going to be out of here. I'll talk to you later, folks. Peace.
Yep, see you guys.
The war will begin.